I take from my bed to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8. Will today be rough or will today be great? 9, 10, 11, 12. Lately I've been going through hell. 13, 14, 15, 16. Today's the day. Are you coming? Are you sick of being normal? I'm sick of being average. I'm sick of being mortal. I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold they will watch in amazement.
Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
Foot up on the pedal, pushing hard to the metal. Make a deal with the devil. Channel rage through my vessel into something that is special. Energy of a rebel, going up a level. I just wanna be greatness. I could feel changes, turn a new page and tie up my laces. I will be the bravest, break out of my cages. I will not be nameless, I will not be aimless.
Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
You are now live with the Locked In Podcast. As always, your hosts for the evening, Steve Ushler and George Menchai. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, make sure that you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to turn notifications on to stay up to date with the most current personal development tips and sports analysis. With that being said, welcome to the podcast and enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 212. We are back here in the building tonight with a new episode. Just want to make a disclaimer to anyone who is watching this podcast that there is going to be some revamping going on with the show. So we're going to have kind of a new format and going to be kind of on top of the next 6 weeks of episodes going forward here. Due to some cancellations, we're just trying to, on the back end, ultimately be able to cover ourselves if it gets cancels for whatever reason. So there's going to be a lot more attentiveness to that side. Just want to say episode 212. Tonight what we're talking about is why a man with no purpose is ultimately dangerous, not just to himself, but to his family and community. For the guests tonight, due to this being a originally different topic and a guest cancellation, we were supposed to have a couple other guests come in here, but we might just be me and Dante. Dante's been on here, a.k.a. Tizzy, has been on here a few times, so he may be popping in tonight too. But we're just going to break down why a man with no purpose is a dangerous man to society. He's a dangerous man not just to himself, but he's a dangerous man to his own family. This could be his wife, his kids, his children, or his just immediate family, his circle around him, but also his community. This includes his work colleagues, church, friends, what have you. But a man who lacks purpose in life is significantly going to turn to distractions. We're going to break that down tonight in a relatively brief episode. Just want to say before we hop into it, if you are watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to turn notifications on, because we release new episodes related to either personal development or sports. Philadelphia-based podcast here, Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, and we cover some other things as well. But sports, mainly personal development. If you like that sort of topics, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And like I said, notifications, hit that bell, because we release new episodes every single week. You do not want to miss it. If you do like that kind of content. Guys, I ultimately just want to say at 212 here, how far we've made it into this podcast. I do appreciate everyone who has supported this podcast. It has started as something that has become a hobby that I genuinely love. I do personally love the episodes more when I'm able to kind of connect with guests on here. But when cancellations happen, sometimes we're not always covered on the back end, which can be tough. So it really depends. But consistency is ultimately key. So we keep this show moving. We try not to do too much cancellations. Every once in a while, we need cancellations due to meetings that we don't get to during the week. Everybody's busy here that works with us, that works with me here. So we ultimately try to schedule time. But I just want to say that I genuinely appreciate everyone who's been a part of this community. I may have some fun kind of giveaways or some things going on this summer with the podcast, which, I'll talk to the guys and we'll see what we can set up. But ultimately, I genuinely love and appreciate the support. We've grown a lot, particularly in the last year, through the 4 years that we've done this. The last year has been the largest milestone for growth for this podcast. It's been good. But guys, just want to welcome you in. So also, if you see something you want to comment as well. On YouTube, I can throw your comments up on the screen. On Facebook, I will have to just read them because meta privacy, a little annoying, but it is all good. We're going to carry this through. Let me pull up Facebook real quick so I can check. Yo, Antonio, what's up, brother? Yo, I appreciate you, dog. Thank you for sharing, man. Antonio Duarte, my guy. What's up, bro? Thank you for the share, man. You're a beast, bro. Hope your wife and kids are good. All right. Let's lock in here. Cool. All right, guys. So first also, too, want to give a shout out to Rich Mitchell, who came on last week on the podcast, as well as we also had last week George Mechai, former co-host here for the podcast. I did this podcast with him for 3.5 years. We got to with the podcast. So I want to give him a shout out as well. And then Candace Scott came on last week too, which was cool. So we had a nice little mix of people on here, and we had some great comments. Nicole commented in. She commented in a lot of great stuff. Just want to say, Nicole, appreciate you for commenting in last week. And ultimately, what we talked about was mental health. So we talked about coping strategies, all different types of stuff. It was Mental Health Awareness Week last week, so we really got into that. That was one of the biggest things that we covered. It was to bring awareness to mental health. And we'll talk more about mental health in June, as it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, as we get into that. With that being said, we'll hop into this tonight. All right. So notes. So ultimately, I think where we start here is, how do we define purpose? I think purpose, ultimately, how you describe it is, what is the reason a man is put on this earth? What are the ultimate goals that a man wants to accomplish? What are the objectives? What is his mission? So a man has to really soul search, in his life, to really figure out, what are you good at? What are your talents? And what are you passionate about? How can you make a difference on this planet? How can you make a difference? Because we really don't know if there's an afterlife. I believe in God and I believe there's an afterlife, but ultimately, if we're looking at the facts, we really don't know. So we have an opportunity to make our mark on this earth while we're still here and alive. Purpose can be anything. It can be your career, right? Your career is part of your purpose. So how do you use your talents in your career and your passions to bring objectives to light? Like how do you accomplish specific goals? there's a thing I want to go through here of why men ultimately need purpose, because when we lack it, we turn to distractions, and there's a lot of issues. So basically, what I had jotted down, let's see, but things from personal experience, what I believe is far too often that when I see the life of many men, including people my age and other things, and people that have made the mistakes be like ahead of me, who are older than me. When I see these men, when many of these men pass, a lot of life passes them by, with them realizing that they have successfully wasted a lot of their younger years, especially for men who are older. A lot of these men just are merely existing. And what I mean by that is this: they're literally just going with the motions every single day of life. They don't wake up with a fire in them. They don't wake up with a mission and a purpose. So I could give you an example of my purpose. I won't talk complete career purpose, to reveal everything, but I do work in a field that I went to college and went to school for, with the ultimate hopes of to start my own business out of it. Now, I ultimately want to do that for myself, but as a Christian and a believer in God, I want to do it through God's divine will. I want to wake up every single day with a mission and purpose of what I want to accomplish. So say I want to go to the gym and I want to build my body. I want to have the most energy inside of me to carry out my mission every single day. So guess what? That comes with dieting. It comes with taking care of your health by lifting weights, working out, taking care of the mental health, reading, stimulating your mind, journaling, meditation, prayer, a lot of other different things that go into it, right? Therapy if you need it as well, working with a licensed professional. Just trying to be the best version of yourself to kind of set the foundation. Now your mission in life is different. So it's going to be what skills do you have? What would you like to do? What are you passionate about? And even if you don't have the skills, how can you obtain the skills to do what you want to do? And how can you make a difference? But men that merely exist are scary, because you just wake up every single day with no purpose. And when you don't have that purpose, what happens is you turn to distractions. These distractions are in the forms of entertainment. Some distractions I'll give you, video games is one, pornography another, movies, shows, which are fine. Like it's entertainment, right? But don't make entertainment your life. So ultimately you have to have some type of mission and purpose in this life, or else your life is dominated by distractions. They tell you that to get to a feeling of like feeling heavenly in life, right? The road is going to be hell. But the road to hell feels heavenly. So it's about distractions, just chilling and relaxing all the time. That's what I mean by merely exist. It's merely a life of distractions, unfortunately. That's a lot of what merely existing is. It's just merely distractions. So that's what I mean by that. Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys, I'm just gonna close something out here. There we go. This is wild. Give me 1 second. All right, cool. All right, I think I'm just gonna close this out because this is acting up. Yeah, this is really acting up. Sorry, there's like an ad thing going on. It's trying to pop up here. Technical difficulties. These things happen, guys. I'm telling you, if you're on a podcast, these things pop up consistently. So I was just trying to move that to the side, and it was just like a whole ad. And trying to pause it. But what I mean by merely exist is exactly that. It's just distractions. What this ultimately leads to, it puts them in an extremely dangerous situation, particularly as they get older, especially if we start this young. These men start to feel self-destructive, as if nothing is going their way once they start approaching middle age. These men typically end up in a very depressed state, because we are wired as men to be providers. We're wired with the fire inside of us to be providers, to be protectors. That is how we are built as men. Now, if you don't set the foundation to do this as a man, you don't put in the consistent work to build the healthy habits, to build the consistency, this leads to problems later in life, to the depressive side of it. These men, by typical depressed state, what I say is the bad habits, their suicidal thoughts and addictions. When you know that you are letting those in your life down. I'm going to be honest. Society, though, is doing a great job at really helping men come off track, because the distractions nowadays are crazier than ever. Now, that's not to say that the man is not accountable for these distractions, because while you may have distractions in front of you, you have to have the strength and the courage to turn away from those distractions, especially in times when you know you need to be standing on business. So that is where accountability comes in. You have to be accountable. I'm not going to lie, the landscape is not easy. It is so easy nowadays to just wake up, and what's the first thing most of us do? We grab our phone. And usually it's not for business purposes. It's for entertainment purposes. You got your TikTok, you got your YouTube, you got Facebook, Instagram, you name it. We have it all. Snapchat, all of it. And unfortunately, it's at our fingertips. And we start to get the dopamine hits very early in the morning. Instead of getting up and handling business, majority of the time we sit in bed, we hit the snooze button, we scroll. Society doesn't make it easy, for sure. Not in the 21st century. It's 2025, and it just seems like every single year there's some type of app that's coming out, or some type of distraction, some new streaming service. Pornography has become more accessible than ever. You got all different types of things. It just becomes serious distractions. Even sports is a distraction in a way. And I love sports, believe me, but it's entertainment. And excuse me. A lot of times sports can heavily be a distraction. It can be a heavy distraction because sometimes people just associate themselves so much with a team, they lose their own identity in life. That's why I always say, as much as I love, I'm from Philadelphia, so I love the Philadelphia Eagles. Go Eagles, 2-time Super Bowl champs. Let's go. Let's represent. It's entertainment. If a game's going on and say I'm helping somebody in my life, say I'm helping my partner with something, I'm going to be honest, just fuck the game. The game is entertainment. I can watch the game later. I can watch the highlights later. It doesn't really matter, because people in my life who are close to me matter more to me than entertainment. A lot of times people tend to kind of not be able to dissociate the difference between that in the moment. We get so caught up with entertainment, things that are essentially meaningless. It's just a distraction from life. Yeah, it feels good when our team wins, but ultimately, what do we win because of it? We win what? Bragging rights? That's all it is. At the end of the day, you can enjoy entertainment, just make sure it doesn't distract from the everyday purpose of your life. When you wake up every single morning, what are you waking up for? What is your goal? What are you here for? Every single day when you wake up. Because I'll tell you what, when you have a mission and purpose, you can't wait to get up in the morning. You can't wait. There's a fire inside of you, and you're just I can't wait to get up. I can't wait to tackle this day. And I'm going to be honest, not every day is going to be like that. But when you have the foundation set and you understand what you need to do, it helps out. Now, if you don't have a foundation, you have no idea what you're supposed to do every single day, that's when you get lost inside of distractions, because you don't really have a mission and purpose. Say you're a single man, you don't know really what you want to do with your career, you're out of shape, you're just going to lay around with no purpose, no mission to do anything. Now say you're a man with a career, you understand what you want, you're in good shape, you have a family, you have kids. Every single day you're going to get up for those kids, right? Every single day you're going to get up for your wife, right? You're going to get up, you're going to go to your job, you're going to provide, you're going to, whatever your career is, if you're passionate, hopefully you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to go there and you're going to make a difference. But you let everyone down in your life when you don't have a purpose. That includes the family and includes the community. It's not just yourself. Unfortunately, when a lot of men realize that they've wasted so much time staying away from the purpose, it becomes too late. The good news about it is, though, it's preventable for the most part. So what I'm going to tell you about is it's likely that once you get your mind right and start chasing your purpose, that's the only thing you should be chasing, is chase your purpose. And soon you'll find yourself thriving instead of simply existing. I can say there's been a lot of times in my life where I've struggled to stay focused on my purpose. And personally, I believe a lot of it has had to do with social media. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of it is done through social media. So anybody who's out there watching, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever had a time where you're feeling great, and then you go on social media, and then you compare your life to somebody else, and then you feel like crap. I feel like it happens a lot. We always think we're not doing enough. We always think, instead of just taking the step back and being like, okay, what am I doing that's good? Who does depend on me? Who relies on me? Who is happy to be in my life? What is my purpose? And the things that I don't like that I'm doing, what can I do to tweak and change it? What is my plan of action? All you do with social media, right, is you post false lifestyles. Most people that are posting on social media are posting a false lifestyle. You hide behind smoke and mirrors, and it's not always what you see. What you see, or let me rephrase. What you see is not always real. Now, some of it is legitimate memories, but a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. People can post situations where they look happy, where they're not truly happy. And I think a lot of people fail to understand that. What's the point of it? So it's to make their life seem the best possible life that anybody could ever live. Everybody posts on social media. That's how it looks. But most of them only post when they're simply out having fun or on an adventure with an adrenaline rush, right? There's nothing particularly wrong with that, but what ends up planting the innocent viewer's mind is the feeling of missing out mixed with a little bit of jealousy or sadness, right? We get jealous, we get sad, and we get envious of other people. And this is like a constant thing that happens with social media. The unconscious feeling is enough to get any viewers on social media into their mind and throw them off their purpose. This happens a lot. That's why you have to be really careful with the comparison in social media. It can freeze you. It can make you feel stuck. The next thing you know, you'll push your priorities to the side, ultimately in a sacrificial manner, to create free time, to try to replicate this. People are so eager to get out, spend all their money, put on the best show for the viewers. This is not the type of life I would recommend you. I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who's 32 years old, I would not recommend it. Because a lot of times, those people that are posting those memories, while yes, they're enjoying, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes in their life. Nobody's life is happy all the time. Everybody has bad days. Everybody has things going on behind the scenes. Don't put your life on hold to show off for other people. And a lot of times, the other people that are viewing your content, they could care less about you. When's the last time a lot of those people reached out to you or ever actually asked you how you were doing? Understand that. Luckily, you can kind of change this. But what I would say as a man, in terms of purpose, you have to understand that purpose doesn't just always come naturally, right? You have to really find out what your skills are and what you're passionate about. The subject can dive a lot deeper, but what I would say is ultimately when you lack purpose in life, you let your family down through distractions. You're not carrying out your duties as a man. Your duties as a man are to not just provide for the household in terms of income. Your duties are not just to protect for the household. You protect your wife, you protect your kids. Obviously, protect and provide, right? You also have to be able to be emotionally available for your wife and your kids. You have to be able to communicate with your wife and your kids. These things, when you throw yourself in distractions, you become very emotionally unavailable, I feel. You become very caught up in distractions, dopamine hits. How can you ever find what the mission for your family is and everything, and how can you carry that out when you have low energy all the time? What I would say is a man with no purpose will inevitably, they're going to fall into a depressed state later in life. 9 times out of 10, it takes that mind to 9 times out of 10, the man takes that mind to the grave with him without even figuring out what his purpose even is in life, guys. I promise that I'll tell you this, for the young guys out there, if you're chasing women and pleasure, you will have little pleasure later in life, but you will have little pleasure later in life when you will need it most. But if you chase your purpose now instead of pleasure, not only will you have options of pleasure during this present time of yours, you will continue to have them for the rest of your life. I believe that for a man to remain healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually throughout his life, he needs a purpose. Men are supposed to build. That's what we're here for, guys. What are we doing? How are we waking up? How are we showing up? How are we showing up for ourselves? How are we showing up for God? How are we showing up for our community? How are we showing up for our family? How are we showing up for those around us? And if we have kids, how are we showing up for our children? Ultimately, that is life. That is our purpose. We have to show up for those around us. I feel like it's different when you have that fire in your heart, that desire, I want to wake up every single day and be the best version of myself as a man. And you're not always going to feel motivated. See, I'm hype right now, right? But you're not always going to feel motivated. I don't always feel motivated. That's for damn sure. I definitely don't feel motivated sometimes. But those are the days when I have to drag myself out of the mud and just get up and do it. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not always easy. And I know people deal with all different types of mental health issues. So look, I am not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. Hey, look, I understand. But you have to try to figure out what is the best course of action for you to get out of that state, whether it's meeting with counsel, whatever it is, a licensed therapist. You have to figure that out. Like I said, there's a lot of resources out there. If you checked last week's episode, we dropped resources. Everybody's condition is different. I am very empathetic to that. But I'm being honest, man. You have to figure out what your purpose is in this life. Take time to really soul search and figure it out. Whether you need to go somewhere to think, you need to, however you generate the juices in your mind, right, to really understand. You have to try to put it together. Figure out what you're passionate about. You have to be passionate about something in this life. Figure out what you're really passionate about and how you can make a difference. And that's where it all starts. And when you can do that, you can put that number one. I would say, as a believer in God, God at the forefront, and your purpose and your mission, your family, all of that. But your purpose is very important. Make sure you're planning your blueprints as early as possible, if you can. I don't ever think a lot of times it's never too late to start, right? People will tell you that. I would say that's true. But ideally, you would like to start earlier as possible. So I'd say it's never too late to start. I don't want you to be, because you're older, I don't ever want you to think that you can't start today, because that is a flawed mindset. I wouldn't try to think like that. But what I would say is, if you can start earlier, start earlier. Most of the people when they're younger, they want to be by distractions and going out and partying and all that stuff. I'm 32, and I wish I knew at 32 right now. I wish I knew this at 18 years old. A lot of the stuff that I understand now. So believe me, it's so easy to get caught up in the college party lifestyle. When you're in your early 20s, and it's so easy to just waste those years away just with no direction. And I'm just going to tell you, it's a mistake. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor later in life. So whatever your goal is, figure out a goal. If you have a financial goal, if you have a relationship goal, you want a wife, you want kids, start to work on yourself as a man to be the best man you can be for your wife and your kids. Be able to understand what you're looking for out there and how to, look for a healthy relationship. If you're looking to, you want to build something, you want to you have a financial goal, figure out what you need to hit that financial goal, do the tangible steps. If you want to create a business, figure out what business you want to start. If you want to work for another employer, but you have a passion and a skill that you're really good at, cool. Why don't you chase that? Could be a trade, could be a college degree where you go to work for some white collar company, a corporate company, whatever it is. And if you don't have the skills, how do you acquire the skills to do that? Because you're passionate about it. You have to really sit down and figure it out. And what I would say is, with your passions, really a lot of people can really shit on your passions or whatever. They might not like what you're doing. Do what makes you happy. I'm gonna tell you right now, do what makes you happy. Financially, obviously, is important too. So you want to understand, financially how you can be how you can make it work too, because finances are important. But yeah, pay attention. So what I would also tell you is pay attention to your natural talents, your God-given gifts. If you're naturally good at one thing, I want you to focus on that. So focus on it. What are you good at? What do you like to do? And I want you to figure out a way you can benefit society and the people you interact with. And if you can benefit financially from it, figure out a way you can do that too, to create it from a financial aspect. You want to leave this world better than it was before. That is the ultimate goal of a purpose. How can you impact the world? How can you impact lives? I want you to become the best version of yourself, guys. We're all trying to do it here. So do that one single thing. Let's see. YouTube have to pay back the hours you put into this. I appreciate you Mac. Let me see something. Appreciate you. We got something on. Let me see something. Facebook. Let me see. Sorry, guys. I just had to check and see if. Let me see. This is crazy. Let's see. All right. So ultimately, guys, all right, so Facebook's cool. Yeah, YouTube has to pay back the hours put into this. I agree. Tell them to pay me. Tell them to pay me full time. I gotta get more ads on here, to be honest, so I can generate some kind of more income on this stream for sure. Appreciate the comment, Mac. In terms of the episode, though, I think I'm gonna keep this relatively short because I don't know if Dante or any of the other boys are coming on. This was kind of a last minute kind of episode put together, but I do want to say, a man without purpose is just dangerous. He's dangerous. He's dangerous to all those around him. So, guys, I just want to say, stick with your purpose, stick with your grind, figure out what you're good at, and you can benefit the world. But you not just benefit the world, you benefit your community, you benefit your family. And hey, when you wake up with purpose, that drive is there. You're going to be a lot happier. You're going to feel good about yourself, and you're going to be more confident about yourself. And that's ultimately what we want. We want confident, strong men in society that can carry this stuff out and be the best version of themselves. Like I said, you're not just benefiting you, you're benefiting your family. You're benefiting your kids. You're benefiting your community. So, guys, stay strong. I just want to tell you guys, like I said, we're going to have a different switch in the way we kind of streamline this going forward. This has been going on for far too long with the cancellations and everything like that. So I am really trying to work hard with the guys to really streamline this so we don't have this issue for the rest of the year into next year. None of this issue. Going forward, I'm really working to streamline it. So I just want to say thank you for your patience. Bear with me here. On top of that, I want to wish each and every one of you a happy Memorial Day weekend 2025. I can't believe we're literally already here. The time this year is just crazy. It's flying by. With that being said, have a great night, guys. A great Memorial Day weekend. I'll see you next week for episode 213, where we have a great scope of guests on. And the next 6 episodes are going to be solid. I'm going to put out the schedule as we get it together. And like I said, we'll have some backup plans in there, too, for any cancellations. Have a great holiday weekend, guys. Happy Memorial Day. And we'll talk to you next week for episode 213. Have a good night.